Next time you're getting ready for work, take a closer look at your go-to shirt. Every buttonhole is stitched vertically, but check out the very last hole. It's stitched horizontally, right? This is because the bottom part of your shirt endures the most stress from pulling, as it's where your hips are. So that horizontal buttonhole isn't a mistake, it's put there to stop your shirt ripping as your hips move. That layer of bubbles that forms when you add bubble bath to your tub isn't just for fun. The bubbly layer also acts as insulation and keeps your bath warmer for longer. The pom-pom on top of your beanie wasn't put there as a fashion accessory. The pom-pom was originally added to the hat to prevent sailors banging their heads on the ceilings of the ships that were too low. Crackers have holes in them to stop them cracking and breaking during baking. If the holes weren't there, steam would build up inside the cracker and make it collapse. Those numbers on stickers they put on oranges aren't random. If there are 4 digits and the first is 3 or 4, this means the fruit has been made with conventional farming techniques. 5 numbers beginning with an 8 means the fruit has been genetically modified. 5 numbers beginning with a 9 means the fruit is organic. Margins on paper aren't for writing in dates and numbering lists. They were originally added to serve a protective function. Back in the day, rats used to be a pesky problem in people's homes, and paper was one of their favorite snacks. Margins were added as a safeguard, so that the rats would nibble on blank paper rather than taking a bite out of your important work. If you put your Chinese takeout on a plate when it arrives, you're doing more work than you should. Much like the paper condiment pots in fast food restaurants, your cardboard Chinese takeout box can be unfolded to create the perfect size plate for your food. The long neck on your soda bottle is designed like that to encourage you to hold it there. That way, the heat from your hand will only warm that top bit of the bottle instead of heating up your whole drink. Why does a lapel have a buttonhole with no matching button? Originally, coats and jackets did have a corresponding button so that the wearer could turn up the collar and fasten it around the neck to keep warm. Over time, people stopped doing this, and the button was removed. But many suit makers still keep the non-functioning traditional buttonhole. It's always hard to see your food in the microwave because of that pesky black grate on the window, but it's there to stop harmful microwaves escaping. Called the Faraday shield, it protects you as well as ensures that your food cooks properly. That random diamond on your backpack is called a lash tab or pig snout. It's there so you can thread cords through the holes to carry extra gear. Perfect for camping or long hikes. Golf balls are covered in dimples rather than being perfectly round, so that the ball can fly through the air more smoothly, decreasing the drag and allowing it to travel further and faster. Your makeup pads have 2 different sides for a reason. The bumpy side is used for applying makeup, while the flat side is for removing it. Donuts have holes so that the inside and outside cook evenly. Before the holes were added, the inside would often be greasy and doughy, while the outside was crisp. Your Apple laptop charger has tiny legs that can be folded out, and they're not there so your charger can stand up. These legs, when unfolded, allow you to wrap the cable around and then clamp it into place, securing it and preventing the cable getting tangled or damaged. Now take a look at a soda bottle, and you'll notice a disc inside the bottle cap. This helps seal in the liquid and the drink's fizz, stopping it from going flat. That hole in your hollow lollipop stick isn't to prevent choking, should it ever be swallowed. It's actually there to keep the candy in place. Excess candy flows into the hollow tube and the hole, which, when it hardens, keeps the pop in place. If it was a smooth stick, the candy would slide off easily. The zipper on leather biker jackets is often sewn diagonally. It's not just a fashion statement. Zips that are stitched vertically can bunch up if the wearer leans forward, but a diagonal zipper won't. That little triangle on your gas gauge is there to let you know which side of the car your gas cap is on. Now you'll never pull up to the wrong side of the pump in a rental car again. Vacuums come with so many attachments, but do any of us really know what that one with long bristles is for? It's for dusting and is perfect for cleaning framed art, blinds, and lampshades. Those tiny holes in the chocolate box tray actually serve a function. Push the hole near the candy and it'll pop straight out with you having to get your hands dirty. How thoughtful. Some skyscrapers have hollow floors that can contain nothing but an elevator. It's actually a way to get around height limits. Some skyscrapers are given a limit to the number of floors they can have. Because the hollow floors are empty, they add to the height of the building and make it look more impressive without increasing the number of floors and breaking the building contract. These hollow floors also help to prevent the spread of fires. Women's shirt buttons are traditionally on the left for a reason. Back in the day, it was a sign of wealth, as it signified that a chambermaid had dressed you, as having the buttons on the left made it easier for them to do up the shirt. Your cuticles serve a purpose, so think before you get rid of them. The small area of skin is there to protect your nails from infection. Without it, bacteria and fungi can get in. What's the difference between a wooden hanger and a plastic one? Aside from helping keep your clothes in shape, cedar wood hangers also repel moths and bugs. If you look closely at an elevator door, you'll notice a tiny hole. This is actually a keyhole used for emergencies or for routine maintenance checks. Those random buttons dotted across your jeans are called rivets and are placed in the weakest spots of the jeans to protect them from ripping due to strain or movement. The Statue of Liberty's crown has 7 points for a reason. They represent the 7 seas and 7 continents and were added so that she could extend her freedom to everyone on Earth. Suitcases often come with 2 zippers so that you can connect them with a padlock to prevent theft. Salt isn't just used for cooking. It can get rid of tough smells. Rubbing salt on your fingertips after chopping garlic should remove the smell. It also works on shoes. If you're in a hurry to get somewhere, but your phone is low on charge, switch it to airplane mode while it's plugged in. It'll charge much faster. Men's shirts have a loop on the back so that they can be hung on a hook in a dressing room or a locker room without creasing. Vaseline has a hidden purpose. It's great for removing scuffs from patent leather shoes. It'll also shine them. Trunks have an emergency latch if you ever accidentally lock yourself in, like I do. Don't ask me why. If you fumble around to locate it, all you have to do is pull on it and the trunk should open. Toasters have a secret slide in the bottom that can be removed so you can clean out all those annoying breadcrumbs. Take a look at your laptop keyboard. There are bumps on the F and J keys, but nowhere else. When your fingers are in the optimal typing position, your index finger should rest on these 2 keys. The bumps have been added so that you can correctly position your hands for typing without looking at your keyboard. If you happen to be missing your index fingers, perhaps from feeding sharks a little too closely, then you're out of luck. So grab your phone. Good, now turn it around. You see that little dot between the camera and the flash? That's a tiny microphone. Bet that's something you didn't know. What's it doing there? Well, when you're on a phone call, this little guy is busy at work reducing the amount of background noise other people hear when you talk. That's right, if it wasn't for this, calls wouldn't be as nearly as crisp as they are now. You're lost in the woods and you're rushing to get back to camp. You suddenly remember you've got something that can help. You grab one of your chest straps from your backpack and whistle on it. Yup, that's right. A lot of bags have this feature in them, especially the ones made for the outdoors. It isn't long before you hear the call of one of your friends and you follow them back to the warm campfire, saved by this cool bit of design. If you're a curious person, you might have wondered what that little pocket in your jeans is doing there. You know, the one that's inside the bigger pocket? People often use it to store coins and bills, but it's not meant for that. It's actually designed to store your pocket watch safely. Ah, maybe that's where the name pocket watch comes from. You finally arrive home after a long day's work. You understandably don't feel like cooking, so you sit on the couch and watch a bit of TV and order some takeout. How about Chinese? Ah, perfect. There's the doorbell. That has to be your food. It smells delicious. Wait, before you grab the plates, do this instead. Open your Chinese food container on the table. It becomes the perfect plate, and it's cardboard, which means no cleaning either. The can of soda you got with your food has a cool feature too. Look at the tiny metal tab there, the one you use to open the can. Guess what? You can fit your straw in there. In fact, that's exactly what they're made for. Go ahead, try it for yourself. If you're not at your computer, take a look at your keyboard right now. If you're not, that's okay. Here's one on the screen. The keycaps are arranged in what's called the QWERTY layout, named after the first 6 keycaps below the numbers. As it turns out, it wasn't always this way. They used to be laid out alphabetically, which would make more sense when you think about it. The alphabetical layout fell out of use because long ago there were things called typewriters. Remember those? You press down a key and a type bar would fly out, hitting an inked ribbon and stamping a letter on the piece of paper. Eventually, typists got good at this and typed faster. Too fast. The type bars would eventually get caught in a log jam with each other, ruining the flow. To fix this problem, they made keyboards with randomized keycaps. The new layout actually worked better because it made typing harder, helping to slow typists down and prevent the type bars from getting stuck. Much better. Today, no type bars, no typewriters, mostly. People are still fast nowadays, but you just can't help but wonder who is faster though, us or them. Keyboards have another hidden feature too. Have you ever noticed that the F keycap and the J keycap have little bumps on the bottom of them? As it turns out, they're there to help people figure out where they are on the keyboard without having to take their eyes off the screen. Grabbing a takeaway cup of coffee at your favorite cafe might be just what you need to fully wake up in the mornings. When you get back home or to work, though, you might be afraid to stain your desk when you put the steaming hot coffee down. Worry not, your plastic lid isn't only good for keeping your coffee hot, it also doubles as a coaster. In fact, they're the perfect size to hold a cup. Try it for yourself. This one's going to come in handy if you're a home cook. If you're like me, you might have a bit of trouble deciding how much pasta you need for just one serving. Well, if you've got a pasta scoop, grab that. Most people don't know what the little hole in the middle is for and assume it's supposed to help with water drainage or something. It turns out that it helps you measure out a perfect serving. Just see how much dry spaghetti you can fit in the hole and use that as one portion. Out at the store buying coat hangers, you might notice that the plastic ones feel cheaper than the wooden ones. There's a good reason for this. Wooden hangers are made out of cedar wood. The big difference between the two is that the wooden ones repel bugs and moths. They're stronger and last longer too, perfect for things that might stay in your closet for a long time. When you brush your teeth, you might have noticed that your toothbrush has blue bristles. They're not just there for show. In fact, they're there to tell you when it might be time to switch toothbrushes. These bristles lose their strength and color when the brush has been worn down, letting you know that it's time to get rid of it. Microwaves often look a bit like mini TVs, especially ones where you can clearly see the black film around them. This is actually a really important feature that's used to keep the radiation from slipping away. They're called Faraday cages, if you want to get technical. This is why you can stand next to a microwave without melting into a puddle. That's not to say you should stand in front of the microwave and watch your food heat up, but at least you know you won't grow an extra ear or something. Okay, not really. Some ovens have a drawer under them. It's tempting to use this to store random junk you don't use often, but there's a better use for it. Instead, this should be used to help keep the food that's waiting to be served hot. You can take it out of the oven and store it right in this drawer, keeping your oven free for you to carry on cooking. Now, you're on a plane looking around trying to pass the time before takeoff. When you examine the window, you notice it has a little, very tiny hole on its bottom. Don't worry, it's not broken. It's there to relieve the pressure that builds up over time as the plane goes up and down. It also lets the air flow through it. Now, raise your hand if you've ever ridden on an escalator and scrubbed your shoes on its bristles. Hey, I'm guilty of doing that, maybe more than I should. It's not there to clean your shoes, though. It's an important safety measure. It stops your shoelaces, clothing, and other stuff from getting stuck in there, avoiding a nasty scene when you go to get off. Sometimes a piece of fabric comes with your new clothing. It usually comes along with the extra buttons in a little plastic bag. You might think it's just a piece of fabric to use for future patching in case you rip it, but that isn't its purpose at all. It's actually supposed to be put in the washing machine to test how it reacts to various washings. Now, you don't have to worry about shrinking your new expensive coat because you know how it'll react to the wash. Bubbles! Who doesn't love bubbles? Most people have fond memories with bubble blowers as a kid. But as adults, the closest thing we can get to recapturing that feeling is with bubble baths. After a hard day at work, there's nothing better than dipping into a nice warm bubble bath. Right, guys? And the bubbles do more than just clean you. If they're high-quality bubbles, they'll serve as a heat insulator. So they make sure that your bath stays warm for longer. Boxes of chocolate sometimes have these mysterious holes in them. When I'm eating a box, or two, I usually ignore them and take out the chocolate by pressing the bottom of the plastic. But it turns out that I've been doing it wrong the whole time. If you press one of the holes, the chocolate comes right out. I'm certainly going to start doing this from now on. Here's another one from the kitchen. The handle on a pot will often have a hole in it. Most people use this to hang them on a nail on the wall as an easy storage method. The hole has another use too. When you're cooking, you can use this handle to hold your wooden spoon or whatever else you might be cooking with. This makes sure you don't make a mess when you put it down. Glass bottles usually come with a cap in them. Well, duh. Otherwise, the liquid would just spill. In this cap, there's a plastic liner that seemingly has no purpose, right? Wrong. It's a seal. No, not a seal. A seal. It's the kind that helps keep your drink fizzy. Just the refreshment I needed. A lot of doorknobs are made out of brass, and it's not by chance. They're made out of this specific material because it's bacteria's worst enemy. That's right, it destroys them. Perfect for those who want to keep a clean house and avoid germs. Hey, you want a fish?
Hello, Brightsiders! Do you know what's hidden inside President Lincoln's head or at the Grand Station Terminal in New York? Today, I will reveal secrets about America's best-known landmarks you have never heard of. At the towering granite faces of Mount Rushmore, there's a hidden chamber inside President Lincoln's head, built initially to hold essential documents from U.S. history. The original plan was to create a much larger carving of several vital moments in American history. Unfortunately, it was far too complicated to be completed, and a Hall of Records was chosen instead. The construction stopped for many years with the room left unfinished. However, the project was revived in late 90s and they completed the chamber. The hidden room tells the US's story to future generations, a time capsule of American history. Sadly, tourists can't access the secret room as it's too difficult to reach. Anyone running through the Grand Central Terminal to get to their train on time knows that you work up quite a sweat. Some hidden Manhattanites are also working up a sweat somewhere else at the station. Few commuters realize that the Grand Central Terminal has been home to a tennis club for decades. It mainly serves local sports fans and corporate groups, so most people don't even know it exists. Vanderbilt Tennis Club is located on the station's upper levels and includes a full gymnasium, one full-sized indoor hard court, and even a junior court. While it might seem strange to join, the Tennis and Fitness Club is quite popular among the locals. Most of the Supreme Court building is what you'd expect: courtrooms, offices, and other generally dull workspaces. But that's until you get to the 5th floor. The building has a hidden basketball court, nicknamed the highest court in the land. This court is frequented by many of the building's workers. The room was initially designed as a storage space, but some people started turning it into a makeshift court to practice their tennis game. The trend took off, and eventually it turned into a basketball court we know today. One of the most fascinating things about Niagara Falls is how naturally falling water is used to generate energy. The falls had slowed to a trickle or even stopped because of freezing and ice on several occasions. But a little known secret of the falls is that they can be turned off. And in 1969, the US Army Corps of Engineers did just that. To generate hydroelectric power, engineers developed ways to control the water's flow and fall to get the most out of it. All this water causes lots of erosion, so a facelift was planned. Unfortunately, the plan ended up being a bit of a failure. Meanwhile, this lady is no failure. She's an icon, a symbol of hope, and one of the most recognizable figures in the world. And she wears size 879 shoes. The Statue of Liberty is one of the most recognizable structures in the USA and in the world. In 1886, the monument wasn't just symbolic. For 16 years, the statue functioned as a fully operational lighthouse. Tourists at the US landmark can head to her crown for a stunning city view, but there used to be a room in the torch that could be accessed. Unfortunately, the ladder to the torch room was damaged by a shockwave from a nearby explosion, making the room inaccessible from 1916 until today. And it hasn't welcomed any visitors since. When the Brooklyn Bridge was first under construction, the engineers faced two significant problems. Well, the city didn't have enough money to pay for the whole project, that's a first, and local wineries were refusing to relocate out of the path of the construction. The engineer managed to find a great solution to both problems. They helped finance the bridge by building wine cellars and renting them out to local businesses that needed the extra storage. That's a pretty genius approach to financing a bridge, actually. Today, the city of New York has taken ownership of the cellars and stripped the caverns of their original functionality. Now, they are primarily unused and full of maintenance equipment. Disneyland has fast become one of the most famous landmarks in America. Hardcore fans might think they know all of the park's secrets, but some might even surprise regular parkgoers. Hidden behind an unmarked door in Disneyland's New Orleans Square, you can find a posh, expensive restaurant called Club 33. If dining here is on your to-do list for your next vacation, you better start saving your money right now. The price to enter is a little expensive, costing around $25,000 to join, plus an annual fee of $12,000. If you feel wrong about never being a part of Club 33, maybe this will cheer you up. The waiting list can be up to 14 years long, and even Walt Disney himself never got to see it. The Golden Gate Bridge was once the world's longest suspension bridge. This eye-catching 1.7-mile-long feat of engineering was completed in 1937. While many people know that the bridge is constantly being repainted, did you know that the paint color, which looks red, is called International Orange? Interestingly, the color was just a primer, but it turned out to be quite visible through the thick fog. The bridge's original color plan was suggested to be black with yellow stripes to maximize its visibility for passing ships. That's quite an ugly combination, I think. Most people who visit the Lincoln Memorial are in awe of the size and view of the reflecting pool. Some even spend all of their energy trying to find the famous typo carved into the walls. In the line, "With high hope for the future," the sculptor mistakenly spelled the future with an E instead of an F. Yet they tried filing it in, but the typo is still visible. Visiting the Gateway Arc to look at the city of St. Louis is like looking back in time. Most visitors don't know that the Arc also provides a glimpse back to its construction. Built to withstand earthquakes and high winds, the Ark can move and bend as much as 18 inches in high winds. The Ark is the tallest national monument in the United States, standing at 630 feet. Few people realize that it's 630 feet wide as well. That's impressive. The most peculiar thing about this spectacular construction isn't just its story, but that it also contains the stories of over 600,000 people from St. Louis. Hidden underneath the deluxe Wolford Astoria Hotel is a secluded platform called Track 61, part of the Grand Central Terminal. A railway car believed to be designed for President Franklin D. Roosevelt was left in the station for decades before being removed. This private train car was able to pull into the underground station where he could come and go unseen by the public. Unfortunately, the car turned out to be just for transporting parts of construction materials, which is not really as cool as transporting a president. The Liberty Bell features one of history's most famous repair jobs. Well, actually, lack of repair jobs. The bell was tested, split, and repaired when first received. And it just got worse from there. After nearly 90 years of use, a narrow crack formed in the Liberty Bell in 1840s. When the city of Philadelphia sought to repair the bell in 1846, metal workers made the crack even worse. Attempts were made to repair the existing rupture in the bell, but it was subsequently fractured beyond repair. After all of this, it had to be taken out of service for good. The bell we see today is just a replica. Not one person alive today has heard the authentic original sound of the bell. That's all for today, and guys, remember, let's learn something new every day together with Brightside.
So, you hungry, but not quite ready to eat a 3-course meal just yet? How about some instant noodles instead? The water's boiled, your tummy's rumbling, but there's a problem. The styrofoam cup's broken and the noodles are exposed. Wait, is that a space at the bottom of the cup? Why? That space is for protecting the noodles. It's not the company trying to save money or anything. Notice how the ramen in cups is hardly ever broken, but the one in the packet comes out looking like a mess? This technique is called a middle suspension. The noodles are packed in tightly to stop them from getting crushed in the delivery truck. It's not just about the noodles looking nice and long. It also helps those tasty noodles soften more easily. Now, morning breath isn't the best. Luckily, there's an easy way to get rid of it. Yeah, it would have been easy to think that mouthwash was invented for, washing your mouth. Well, mouthwash was originally invented and sold as a floor cleaner. It was sold to hospitals as an antiseptic for years. It never really took off. Some genius in marketing rebranded it as a mouthwash, and the rest is minty fresh history. So, after you've cleaned your teeth, just remember, rebranding can be pretty powerful. It's hard to imagine a world without the internet these days. No streaming, no online games, or pictures of cute little kitties. Yeah, that's not what it was designed for, but who cares, right? The prototype internet was called ARPANET, or the Advanced Research Projects Agency Network. This machine was very sensitive. To stop anyone from turning it off, some clever scientists stuck a piece of paper on it with these powerful words. "This machine is a server. Do not power it down." It was written in red ink. Hey, nice touch. Having your professor scribbling in the margins of your notebook isn't exactly new, except that margins weren't designed for that. They're rat protection. Back in the day, rats would nibble on paper all the time. So if you wrote something on the edge of the paper, it ended up inside a hungry rat. A couple of well-placed lines stopped your best answers from getting eaten. Hey, I can't finish this pizza. Time to cover up those leftovers. Luckily, I have plenty of plastic wrap. A little tug, and the roll just jumped out. Prison break! If you look at the wrap's home, the long, thin box, there's a special little feature that can help you. A cardboard tab on each end. Push them in, and the roll's not going anywhere. Strange that I've never seen them before. It's lunchtime. I'm feeling like a California roll today. Seaweed, rice, cucumber, avocado, and crab meat. Or is it? It's actually imitation crab meat. It's basically cheap white fish blended with sugar. The fish mixture is then heated and pressed into shape. Yummy! That's maybe why it's called the hot dog of the sea. Nah, I just made that up. Your microwave has a secret we've all seen, but never paid attention to. That black mesh you see on the door is a Faraday cage. It stops the electromagnetic energy, or the microwaves, from escaping. And cooking you, too. That's how it heats up your food so quickly. Every microwave has to have one, and they all vary in quality. This Faraday cage can even stop signals from your phone, which I guess is useful. Hey, you don't need your popcorn to stop popping in order to take a call, do you? Airplane mode's a bit easier, though. Ever taken an IQ test and realized you're Einstein-level smart? Me neither. The median IQ is only 100, plus there's very little evidence that Einstein ever even took the test. In the beginning, most people thought the tests were too vague to be helpful in any way. The test was designed for children who needed help with their studies. Later, they realized it could be adapted to identify intelligence, but it was never originally designed for that. Hey, never pop bubble wrap, you're missing out. And, you guessed it, it was never meant to be popped or used in the way we use it today. It was invented as a new textured wallpaper. By sealing two shower curtains together, they created the first bubbles. The idea never really took off, obviously. After failing as wallpaper, it discovered its true meaning in life. It could protect sensitive items. When the first computers were being shipped, bubble wrap was there to help. Imagine a house with bubble wrap wallpaper in every room. Best or worst thing ever? Hey, leave me a comment below. If you owned one of the biggest companies in the world, selling one of the most known products on the planet, how would you keep your company's secret a secret? The formula for Coca-Cola isn't patented. The first recipe was, but when they made changes, no patent ever went through. The secret formula is still only known by a few people at the company. Not only that, but not even Coca-Cola's rival wants the recipe. In 2006, a disgruntled employee tried to sell off the secret, but it didn't work. Hey, take a look at your brand new mattress. Do you see the "Do Not Remove Under Penalty of Law" tag? Wow, that thing looks pretty serious. Good news though, the tags aren't meant for you. They're aimed at the mattress seller. 100 years ago, mattress makers used to create the filling with basically anything. Animal hair, old hospital beds, or clothing. Then, strict laws stopped old hospital beds from being used. Their mattresses were filled with germs. Now, on a rainy day, Play-Doh is something everyone can make at home. Mash up some flour, water, salt, food coloring, and wham! Any creative person is amused for hours. Cheap, clean, non-toxic, the perfect modeling clay. But it was never made for that. This stuff was originally for cleaning up walls in the 1930s. That's because people started going crazy for wallpaper, which you couldn't use soap and water on. Eventually, Play-Doh had to find a new home. Now, have you ever finished a lollipop and noticed a hole in the stick? This hole isn't just for show, or to make a musical instrument with after you're done. It's there to keep that tasty sweet treat from falling off. While the candy's still hot, it's poured into a mold. As it hardens, the candy flows into the hole and creates an anchor. Oh, not into lollipops? How about good old American gummy bears? Unfortunately, they aren't American at all. They're German. A German company started making them in 1922. The original name was Gummy something. Anyway, they got the inspiration from real dancing bears at live shows. These treats eventually made it all the way around the world. Hey, ever wondered what those little bumps were for on the F and J keys on your keyboard? These little raised ridges are to help your index fingers be in the best possible spot for lightning-fast typing. Keeping those fingers on F and J, it makes it way easier to reach all the keys, especially if you don't look at the keyboard. Now, everybody loves a Slinky. If you've ever watched one of them strut down the stairs with groovy music in the background, congrats, you're definitely a YouTube fan. People of all ages loved it when it came out, which is crazy because it was never meant to be a toy at all. It's a spring. It was originally designed to stabilize sensitive nautical devices on ships. Nothing fun about that at all. Until that amazing day when one of them fell off a table and danced its way into our hearts. After many experiments, the new and improved Slinky was born. Give that team of scientists a medal. Now, that little pocket on your jeans wasn't designed for loose change or keys. It was originally made to store your pocket watch. You don't have a pocket watch? How was that possible? They were all the rage in the 1890s. But that's not all that makes your old pair of jeans interesting. Look around the pocket areas. You'll see rivets sticking out. No, they're not some cool fashion idea from the past. These rivets serve a very crucial role. They help protect the sensitive areas of the jeans that get the most wear and tear. Back in the day, most people wore jeans to do hard manual labor, so they needed to be tough. If those guys back then saw you paying $100 for a pair of ripped jeans, they'd probably pass out from shock. So, grocery carts have loops for a reason. You don't want to put your jacket in your cart next to a bunch of potatoes and onions, do you? Hang it on the loop instead. It's there to help you organize your cart better. Carts also have a cool section at the bottom. Whenever your cart's full, just lift it up and attach a shopping basket for extra purchases. Lift up the whole metal thing, sit your basket on the horizontal bar above the wheels, and secure it with those handy hooks. If you've got some pesky parsley stuck in your teeth, try this tip. It can be hard to get it all out with loose floss. You need more tension. Just tie it in a knot. Toothpaste stripes may seem a bit weird. It's just a marketing trick. Back in the 70s, a leading toothpaste brand added a blue stripe to show that their toothpaste had double action. Solid white toothpaste worked just as well. But those blue bristles on your toothbrush actually make sense. They gradually lose their color over time. When the blue's faded, it's time to change your toothbrush. Ever notice that tiny hole on the bottom of a padlock? Its hidden purpose is to drain water out, to keep it from rusting. It's also the place to lubricate a padlock. A drop of oil in there will make it open and close way easier. Those ridges on the edge of dimes aren't just for show. People used to shave off the edges, then melt the edges down into new coins. But thanks to the new design, it's easy to tell if someone's been shaving the edges off. If you still struggle with peeling an orange, here's another way of opening it. First, cut off the top and bottom. Make a slit on the side and pull it open. That knobbly bit sticking out of the cap of your favorite cream is there for a reason. These tubes are usually sealed with foil, so unless you love breaking your nails trying to open them, just flip the cap over and push. The tiny rubber disc under every bottle cap isn't just for seeing if you want a lifetime supply of soda. It's what keeps your drink all nice and bubbly. The lid keeps the liquid inside. The rubber disc keeps the gas inside. Until you drink it. If you use the blue side of your eraser to erase pen, your notebooks are probably all full of holes. The blue side's there for when you need to erase something on much thicker paper. It works on pencil and even ink, as long as the paper's thick enough. Your bobby pins might not stay in place if the grooves aren't facing the right way. They should always be on the bottom, close to your head. Still coming loose? Put a squeeze of hairspray right onto the bobby pin before you put it in your hair. Many glass bottles usually have some sort of indent at the bottom. It's handy if you want to be fancy. Put your thumb in the indent and pour away. The technical name for this little dude is a punt. Those sugar sticks at your local coffee stand are ready to be opened in a new and easier way. Look how happy they are. Try splitting it right down the middle. No more sugar on your fingers, no more tiny little paper bit, even your coffee's happier. Your Cotton Rounds pack has those strings on it so you can hang it on a handy hook in the bathroom. But there's no need to loosen and tighten back up again every time. Check out the bottom of the pack. It has a perforated line. Tear it open carefully and you're good to go. Doorknobs are usually made of brass, bronze, or some other copper alloy. Why? They're antibacterial, so they stop microbes from spreading. Just a couple of hours and the pesky microbes are gone. But don't forget to wash your hands anyway. Bottles have long necks for a reason. Hold the neck, not the bottle, if you want to enjoy a cold drink. 2 zips too much? Maybe, but they come in handy as a clever anti-theft device. Just lock them together. Now no one can open your backpack. Don't have a lock on you? You can also tie them together with some string or even just a paper clip. Anything to slow those pickpockets down. That tiny little button on the back of a shirt collar is used to hold your tie in place. You don't want your tie trying to escape back there. Shoe manufacturers care about their customers. So most running shoes now have a special anti-blister system pre-installed. Sounds intense, but it's basically just that extra hole on top of your sneakers. Make a loop with the extra hole, inserting the lace backwards. Cross your laces and put them through the loops. Now pull the laces down to lock your foot in place. Now run. You'll find silica gel packets when you buy bags, shoes, even some snacks. Don't throw them away. They soak up excess moisture, so anytime your shoes are a bit damp, chuck a few gel packets in there overnight. You might have been using your shampoo wrong this whole time. Really? Here's the gist. Don't apply it to your hair. Just apply it to the roots. The foam you create will trickle down on your hair anyway. Notebook margins aren't for taking extra notes or practicing emojis. They were invented to protect people's work. People used to live with a lot of hungry rats around. The rats would nibble at the paper, eating people's work. They put the margin lines there to let people know to start their writing further from the edge, so it's not lost to a hungry rodent. Solo cups are the key element for any barbecue party. But these red cups are even cooler than you thought. You can use them to measure liquids. The bottom line equals 1 ounce, the second line equals 5 ounces, and the third line equals 12 ounces. If you like milk on your tea, try this tip out next time. Pour it from the other side of the carton. It sloshes around less and it's easier to control. Car headrests are all about comfort, and detachable headrests are all about safety. If you pull the headrest out, you'll see 2 sturdy metal bars. If you ever get locked or trapped in a car, you can use the bars to smash the window and get out. Women's shirts have their buttons on the left, even though about 85% of people are right-handed. It would make way more sense to have them on the right. The thing is, back in the day, wealthy women had maids to help them dress. So, for them, the buttons on the left made things much easier, don't you know? The tab on your rearview mirror does have a real function, people. It holds your air freshener, your huge fuzzy dice, maybe a big smiley emoji, but it's actually a switch between day and night mode for your mirror. When it's dark out, the night mode blocks the glare from the car behind you. The McFlurry spoon has a square handle on it. It gets attached directly to the ice cream machine, and the ice cream and toppings get mixed in together, right in your cup. It saves the employees loads of time, plus it saves water, because they don't have to wash the machine after each one. Wooden hangers are so hot right now, they could burn up your clothes. Nah, not really, but they look better and are more natural. But there's another reason to use them. They're made of cedar, which is a natural moth repellent. Bonus tip? Add some dry orange peel to your closet. No moth is ever going in there again. Over 40 billion Oreos are made every single year. It's the world's most popular manufactured cookie. The geometric design stamped into these cookies has the Nabisco logo, the symbol of European quality, surrounding the word Oreo. William Tournier created the chocolate cookie design we see today back in 1952. Headphone jacks might become a thing of the past because of wireless technology, but if you've seen one, you might have noticed the rings at the base of the plug. One ring means single sound playback, 2 rings represent stereo sound in the left and right ear, while 3 rings means you've got stereo and a microphone built in. Now, the iconic orange, red, purple, yellow, and lime green rings of Fruit Loops hide a deep secret within. They don't represent different fruit flavors. All those rings are the same fruit flavors blended together. The colors are just for show. The E in Dell's logo is at an angle because the founder, Michael Dell, wanted his technology to turn the world on its ear. A compass uses magnets to point to the magnetic North Pole, but it's not really north at all. The North Pole of a compass magnet points toward the north because the north and south attract. Earth's south magnetic pole is near the geographic north, while the North Pole is near Earth's geographic south. Confusing, isn't it? Those little red spots you sometimes see after you crack an egg are nothing to be worried about. Tiny blood spots can be caused by a small rupture in the blood vessel of the hen as it was laying the egg. Eggs with these blood spots are safe to eat, but that spot can be removed if you want. It won't affect the taste of the egg. That's comforting. Ketchup is a word taken from many cultures, like Chinese, Malay, and Indonesian. It originally meant a pickled fish sauce. Catsup is also an acceptable spelling used. However, ketchup is the most popular way it's spelled these days. Airbnb's logo isn't a bent paperclip, as it may seem to be. Bello, as it's called, for belonging, means more than that. There's a person's head, the location symbol, and a heart for love. All joined together, they make Airbnb's iconic A and symbol of togetherness. E120 or Natural Red 4 food coloring, aka carmine, is made from tiny beetles. It's been used to color anything from cakes to candy to even drinks. That shine on candy also comes from bugs. This time it's the Indian female lac bug. The beetle leaves behind a substance that is scraped from the trees to be formed into dry shellac that gives that glossy look. The Mozilla Firefox logo isn't a fox at all surrounding the planet. It's a red panda instead. The name Firefox is the English translation of its Chinese name. Those maintenance covers in the street are around for safety reasons. In past civilizations, like ancient Rome, manholes, that's what they were called back then, were square-shaped slabs of stone. Unfortunately, these were prone to accidents. If they weren't placed properly, a square cover could slip through the square hole diagonally. Ow! Placing a round cover eliminated this problem. A circle cover won't slip inside because there are no angles. A tomato isn't technically a vegetable, but a fruit. Banana trees aren't related to palm trees or trees at all. They're herbs. Banana is considered an herb because it never builds a woody trunk the way a tree does. Instead, it forms a succulent stalk, like lemongrass or its cousin ginger. You can call them berries as well. The Golden Gate Bridge color wasn't meant to be the orangey red that it is today. The bridge's original color was suggested to be many other colors, such as black with yellow stripes or even candy cane to make it visible for passing ships and aircraft, especially in the frequent San Francisco fog. But when the steel arrived covered in an orange primer to protect it from rust, the architect preferred the international orange color, and it stuck. Those legs on the back of keyboards aren't an ergonomic design to help your wrists sit better. Using the legs out for too long can tire and hurt your wrists, plus slowing your typing down. The hinge legs are just there to help you see the letters and numbers better if you don't know how to touch type. The color of a chili pepper reveals nothing about its taste or heat. The smaller a chili is, the hotter it'll usually be. The heat doesn't come from the seeds, as believed, but the white membranes that hold them. Hidden within the Toblerone logo of the mountain is the image of a bear standing on its hind legs, about to eat that yodeler over there. No, not really. This is because bears are a big part of Bern, one of the biggest cities in Switzerland, where the founder created the triangle chocolate treat. Toblerone is also a play on the founder's family name, Tobler, and the Italian word Torrone for honey and almond nougat. The space below a cup of noodles is there to protect the noodles during transport. This technique is called a middle suspension. Not only are they protected better in their styrofoam cup, but it also helps those noodles soften more evenly and quickly. Now, even though you might have thought that the hole in the barrel of a ballpoint pen had no purpose, it does. It's called a venting system, which helps the ink flow more smoothly. This way, an even amount of air pressure is created inside and outside the pen, allowing the ink to flow into the point easily. One of the most recognized logos in the cycling world has a hidden item in its famous logo. Inside the Tour de France name, a cyclist hides in the O, U, and R. Those metal brackets on the top of the nozzles in gas stations have a unique design put into place in case of accidents. If a dodo accidentally forgets the nozzle is still inside the gas tank and starts driving away, the magnetic brackets separate without damaging any part of the gas pump. Wendy's logo is designed off of the daughter of creator Dave Thomas. It's also named after her nickname, but there is more to the logo than that. Wendy's collar spells out the word mom. While unintentional, it became something to mean a homey feel more than any other restaurant out there. Finding the right lane to be in while driving for your exit can sometimes be confusing, especially in a foreign country. Pay attention to the side of the road that exit signs are located. It'll be the lane you need to be in. Some toothpaste has a little seal on them that needs to be removed before you can use them. Instead of peeling back the foil layer, the toothpaste lid has a little spike on the top just for this reason. Tostitos have a secret symbol hidden right in the middle of their name. The two T's in the middle of the logo resemble two people enjoying Tostitos over a bowl of salsa. The salsa bowl is in red and forms the dot in the eye. One of the most recognizable figures in the world, the Statue of Liberty, for 16 years functioned as a fully operational lighthouse. However, the light was barely visible even from Manhattan. In 1901, it was eventually decommissioned as a lighthouse. Tourists could even visit the torch for a stunning view of the city. But an accident damaged the Statue of Liberty's torch in 1916, and it's been closed to the public ever since. The Do Not Remove Under Penalty of Law tag on mattresses isn't put there for the consumer or void your warranty either if you do remove them. In the 1900s, manufacturers used to create the filling with basically anything: animal hair, old hospital beds, or clothing. It didn't matter at the time. Strict laws created the tags to stop recycled materials from being used and sold as new. Good thing. Toyota's symbol is more than just some random rings combined. The three overlapping ovals symbolize the merge of the hearts of consumers and Toyota together. A California sushi roll is made of seaweed, rice, cucumber, avocado, and crab meat. But it's not crab meat at all. Surimi is an imitation crab meat. It's made of white fish blended with sugar instead of crustaceans. The fish mixture is then heated and pressed into shape. The logo for Beats is just a lowercase b inside of a red circle. The circle represents a human head, with the b being the headphones in their shape. All those little black dots around the edges of car windows are called frits. A frit is a painted black enamel that's put into windshields during manufacturing. They block ultraviolet rays and help distribute temperatures between the metal and glass. There are 24 symbols hidden inside the Unilever logo. Let's count, shall we? The sun, dove, plant, spark, chili pepper, spoon, bowl, flower, ice cream, hand, hair, lips, swirl, fish, clothes, bee, particles, packaging, transformation, waves, DNA, palm trees, heart, and virtuous cycle, whatever that is. These represent everything that the company believes in and produces. DNA? Bobby pins are designed so that the zigzag part goes onto your scalp, not the flat part. It gives a greater grip on the hair and skin, making the pin stay in longer. The story that the pins were named after those fashionable London constables called bobbies is not true. I made it up. New iPhone models with large screens have a convenient option called reachability. Thanks to this function, you don't have to struggle to reach the top of the screen. This feature can be found in the phone's accessibility settings. It allows you to lower your screen down. The rumble strips on the side of the road are there to wake up sleepy drivers who doze off behind the wheel. When your tires drift off onto these strips, the noise and vibration work like an alarm clock. Most kitchen shears have metal plier-like teeth in the middle. They allow you to use the device for multiple purposes. They're placed between the handle grips for you to crack nuts, crab shells, and whatnot. You can also open jars and bottles with their help. Some people even use these teeth to remove stems from herbs. If your audio jack has 3 rings, it means your device can produce stereo sound, and your earphones have the microphone function. The black grating on a microwave oven door is called a Faraday shield. It stops microwaves from getting away. If they do, your food won't cook properly. The digits on an egg can tell you a lot about the product. In many countries, there's a special labeling system. The first number indicates the method of production. The following 2-letter code stands for the country where the egg was produced. And then you can find a registration number. It indicates the laying hen establishment. The first number in this code can vary from 0 to 3. 0 means it's an organic egg. 1, it's a free-range egg, which means it was produced by a hen that was allowed to wander around outdoors. 2 stands for an egg produced in a deep litter indoor housing. 3, you're about to buy a cage farming egg. A black band that runs along the edges of your windshield is called the frit. It's a baked-in ceramic paint that starts as solid black bands near the edge of the windshield. Then it dissolves into smaller dots. The frit makes the glass rougher, and the adhesive sticks to it better. The frit protects the urethane sealant. It's the substance that fixes the glass to the frame. It also prevents the sun's ultraviolet rays from melting the adhesive. As for the black dots, they help distribute the temperature in the car more evenly. They're aesthetically pleasing, too. Without them, the contrast between the glass and the dark band would be too obvious. If you see a pair of jeans with an extra loop, those are special jeans for cyclists. They're likely to belong to the commuter clothing line, and the loop's main purpose is to hold your bike lock. Many zipper sliders have outer rings, especially if such sliders are supposed to be used together. These rings are added so that you can connect the sliders with a lock and keep pickpockets away. Keyboards come with little legs. They were designed for you to be able to tilt your keyboard. This way you can actually see which keys you're hitting. At the same time, a flat keyboard doesn't make your wrists so tired, and people who can type without looking at the keyboard don't need those legs whatsoever. An olive spoon is usually made of stainless steel and has a small hole cut in its bowl-shaped head. The main purpose of this utensil is to lift olives, cherries, pickled garlic, and other products from liquid-filled jars, cans, or bowls. The hole in the middle allows you to drain the liquid gathering in the spoon fast and easily. What'll they think of next? Donuts are shaped like rings because, otherwise, they get overdone at the edges and remain uncooked and gooey inside. Make a hole in the center, and both the outsides and the insides will be cooked at the same time. Round-shaped donuts with no holes are usually filled with custard, cream, or jelly. Such donuts don't have any corners, which means there are fewer weak spots for the filling to spurt out from. If you grab a full juice box a bit too firmly, you can get sticky liquid all over the place. To avoid such situations, flip up the tabs on the sides of the juice box. You can use them to hold your drink. Some cars have a tiny coffee cup sign on the dashboard. It's the vehicle's anti-drowsiness mechanism. Some manufacturers equip their cars with a drowsiness detection system. It analyzes the speed, wheel angle, and lane deviations and figures out if it's time for the driver to take a break. If it is, the vehicle makes several audio signals and the coffee cup sign starts to flash. Produce stickers on fruit and veggies you get at the supermarket are full of information. If there's a 4-digit code on the sticker, the product was grown conventionally. In most cases, it also means that pesticides were used in the process. If the product is organic, its sticker has 5 digits, and the first one is 9. Genetically modified products also have a 5-digit code, but the first number is 8. Sugar used to be sold in sugar loaves. Those were tall, hard cones. At those times, to get sugar ready for tea, people had to use special hammers to break a loaf apart first. After that, they cut the sugar into smaller and more nicely shaped lumps. Only in the middle of the 19th century, people invented the first press that cut sugar into cubes. This way, the product was easier to store and transport. A little hole in the end of your wrench can provide your screwdriver with some extra torque. Just slide the end with the hole over the screwdriver. You can also use this method when the angle is awkward. While driving, when it's already dark, you might get blinded by the headlights of the car moving behind yours. If you have a manual rearview mirror, find a tab at the bottom and flip it. The mirror has a reflective material behind its glass. By flipping the tab, you change the angle of this material, dimming the lights in the mirror. Most ice cream scoopers come in different colors. It has nothing to do with aesthetics. The color indicates the size of the scoop. This way, you can easily figure out how many scoops you'll need to fill 32 ounces. Wow, a 32-ounce sundae! Sign me up! Some caps on small tubes are hollow on top and have a little spike inside. Its purpose is to break the foil sticker sealing the tube. The neck fits right in this hole, and the spike is designed to break the seal. This way, you don't need to tear the tiny foil seal off with your fingers. The letter R in a circle on the product's packaging means that the trademark is officially registered. Once it's done, the trademark's owner has the right to place this letter on all their products. They can also sue anyone who tries to use their trademark. A gas pump usually has a small metal latch or hook on its handle. That's a trigger lock. You can use it to lock the handle in the open position. Then the gas will keep pumping even if you walk away. Coins used to be shaped randomly or have no shape whatsoever in the past. Dishonest people used it to their advantage. They stole valuable metals the coins were made of by chipping their corners off. It was illegal, and to prevent this kind of fraud, round coins were invented. After that, it became easy to instantly notice when a coin had been fiddled with. Those two holes in a lollipop stick are there to hold the candy in place. When the stick is dipped in hot liquid syrup, it flows into the holes and solidifies. Now your sweet is there to stay. Fabric squares that come with clothes are for you to try out your cleaning products on them first. This way, you won't ruin the entire item once you decide to wash it. The holes in the bottoms of earphones allow air to circulate up and through the speakers. It helps to increase low frequencies, making the bass sound deeper. The sound quality also becomes much better. Don't I sound better? Thank you. You can adjust your stapler so that it staples documents together only temporarily. It's done by rotating the crimp area. Most staplers have two options for stapling. One is standard, but the other side bends staples away from the center. Later, when you don't need them anymore, you can easily remove them by hand. If you store peanut butter jars upside down, the oil will move to the bottom and all the solids will be on top. Hey, don't laugh, that matters to some people. You don't want to get caught with your peanut butter down.
Tires on the landing gear don't burst because they're designed for a load that's 4 to 5 times as great as they experience during landing. The wheel itself might break, but the tire won't burst. This little tip based on people's psychology can help you choose the fastest line at the airport. If there are several lines at check-in, opt for the left one. It's believed that you'll get to the counter more quickly this way. Most people are right-handed and intuitively choose the right side. Your skin usually becomes a bit dry during the flight. This happens because of low humidity levels in the cabin. Bring a good moisturizer with you to keep your skin hydrated on board. Do you know that airplane pilots always eat different meals before a flight? This way, if one of them gets food poisoning, the other will be able to take control of the plane. Airplane tray tables are some of the dirtiest surfaces in the cabin, so make sure to wash your hands frequently. And clean that table with an antibacterial wipe to get rid of all those bacteria living there. If you're sitting in an aisle seat, you can have more space to stretch your legs out. Just push the button on the underside of the outermost armrest. This will move the armrest up, giving you more space for your legs and preventing the armrest from jabbing into your side. Here's a reason why they turn the lights off in the cabin. Passengers need to get used to the darkness in case an emergency landing happens at night. This way, their eyes are already used to the absence of light, which makes it easier to evacuate. Flight attendants ask you to open window shades so they can see what's happening outside. This way, they can choose the best way to evacuate passengers in case of an emergency. Almost all passenger planes are white, since this color best reflects the sun's rays and prevents the plane from heating up. Another good reason is that white paint is cheaper. Also, workers and engineers can easily notice any damage on a white surface. It's better to avoid making important decisions during a flight. Your brain doesn't get enough oxygen at such heights. This negatively affects its functioning. Chewing gum, hard candies, and mints can help you to avoid this annoying ear popping during takeoff and landing, but not because of the candy itself. You feel better thanks to the process of swallowing. Yawning helps too. As for the gum, it also helps get rid of that bad breath caused by the thin air at high altitudes, which pulls moisture right out of your body. Dry air can make you feel as if you're coming down with a cold. The air in the cabin dries out your nose and throat as if you have symptoms of a cold. These symptoms usually go away right after landing. The water they use to make coffee and tea on board isn't always clean enough. Yeah, many companies use very good water filters now, but still, it's better to ask for bottled water if you're thirsty. That tiny triangle on the aircraft wall over your seat means a lot for flight attendants. These triangles mark the windows through which you can see flashing indicators. Those signal the retraction of the landing gears and the closing of the flaps. Let's say the pilots find out there's some problem. In that case, a flight attendant rushes to the necessary window to check what's happening. But for passengers, this is just the best place for photos, since you can see the wings perfectly. Seats in the middle of the cabin above the wings are the best for you if you have motion sickness. This area is more balanced and shakes the least during turbulence. If you tend to get nervous during the flight, do some physical exercise not long before boarding the plane. A little workout helps lower your stress levels and makes your body release endorphins, the happiness hormones. Also, this physical activity compensates for the hours you spend sitting still. The turbines are located under the wings, since this makes it cheaper, faster, and easier to service the engines. Previously, they used to be placed in the tail. It required expensive equipment and much more time to repair. When they started installing the engines below the wings, ticket prices went down. Imagine you're flying in a hot air balloon. See the burner system installed under the gas bag, also called the envelope? It heats the air inside, which makes the balloon go up. So, turbulence is the same hot air but created by nature. When the air heats up, it rises a plane. When it becomes cooler, the aircraft goes down. And passengers feel as if they're riding a roller coaster. A stream of hot air left by another plane can also cause turbulence. It's common for most flights, but usually, turbulence is so light that passengers don't feel it. Do you know that planes can fly even after one engine fails? Pilots can control such emergency situations and land the aircraft safely. Passengers may feel a slight tilt during the flight, but in most cases, they don't even know the plane is flying with only one engine. Your eyes get oxygen straight from the air. It's not delivered by the blood. So your eyes can feel somewhat dry during the flight. Put eye drops in your bag. They'll help you keep your eyes moist. It's forbidden to carry large volumes of liquids on board because some hazardous substances can easily dissolve in water. If a plane has to land on water, its wings become a life-saving pillow. Empty fuel tanks help the aircraft stay afloat too. By the way, it can be from 10 minutes to 60 hours before the plane sinks. It all depends on the model, weather conditions, and the pilot's skills. Those smiling flight attendants you meet when you get into the cabin usually hide their hands behind their backs. They're counting people entering the plane to make sure that all passengers are on board. Despite all the words people say about airplane food, it's not actually so bad. The problem is your sense of taste. It's not so acute since the air in the cabin makes your mouth dry. It also dulls your sense of smell. That's why airlines add a lot of spices and salt to their meals. Is it true that your hair grows faster during the flight? Not really. Scientists haven't managed to prove it. This myth appeared in the first part of the 20th century when some passengers noticed that their stubble had grown longer during the flight. It's normal for people to get headaches during the flight, especially right after takeoff. You climb to an altitude higher than Mount Everest within about 10 minutes. These changes happen too fast for your body to adjust. Seatbelts on planes stretch across your stomach to save you from getting slammed against the ceiling in case of turbulence. When it happens, the aircraft starts moving up and down. and your waist belt holds you securely. And seatbelts in cars protect people from horizontal collisions. Airplanes have special protection from lightning. Even if it strikes, passengers won't feel it. Planes are covered with an aluminum coating that conducts electric current but doesn't let it get inside the plane. Electronics and fuel tanks also have extra protection. Plane seats are so uncomfortable because airlines try to fit the maximum number of passengers on the plane. That's why there's so little space between seats. 2 additional rows means 12 more passengers. Also, companies make airplane seats lighter to save on fuel costs. Even seemingly insignificant extra weight can cost an airline thousands of dollars. And, by the way, your seat has a fire-resistant coating. It's necessary to prevent a fire from spreading in case of an accident. Airport workers transport unclaimed luggage to special centers. If the owner doesn't show up within 3 months, the baggage is put up for sale in specialized stores. You couldn't use your phone on an airplane in the past, since cell phones were really dangerous for navigation. Their radio signals could disrupt the settings in aircraft electronics. Oxygen masks fall down not only during strong turbulence, but also when the air pressure inside the cabin changes dramatically. Passengers are okay if they put on their oxygen masks, but in such cases are considered to be an emergency, and pilots do their best to quickly go down to a safe altitude so that passengers can breathe without oxygen masks.
You know, there are all sorts of amazing things you can do with products already lying around the house that were meant for other things. We'll explore some of those, plus everyday items that have other purposes you may not be aware of. I'm also in a silly mood, so hey, let's have some fun. Many pairs of kitchen scissors today have a serrated opening where the handles and blades meet. You can use this as an herb stripper to de-stem difficult herbs like thyme, rosemary, and chives. Saves you a lot of time trying to pick the leaves off by hand. And if you're short of a vase, you could present roses to your significant other this way. Just be careful when you're pointing the sharp end. The metal tab on soda cans can be flipped around. You can slip a straw in place so you don't have to hold it up to your mouth. This stay-on tab replaced the pull ring tab created in the early 60s. You remember those, don't you? Those could be quite sharp and easily discarded where they could be a menace for others. Now, you can pop your straw straight into one. Also means you can produce some bubbles and make a mess. Sometimes when you purchase an article of clothing, you receive a plastic baggie with an extra button and a swash of fabric. While the fabric is clearly used to patch holes, it can also be used to test the effects of various cleaners on certain surfaces. It's handy too to test wash cycles before using them to wash the whole garment. And if you want to clean your nose with it, that suggestion never came from me. You can use a screwdriver for leverage if you're having trouble lifting or moving something. Some also have a hexagonal shape handle that fits inside a wrench or spanner. You can use it to improve torque and, again, for leverage. A little easier on your hands. Some of us aren't that strong, or maybe that's just me. Rubber bands are great for many things, but if you have a bottle that's hard to open, you can wrap the band around it for a better grip. Escalators have those fluffy black brushes for a similar reason that some have yellow lines on their steps, to try and deter people from getting too close to dangerous places. People don't always take notice, and sometimes clothing can drape close to a point where the step meets the edge or skirt. The brush is a little barrier to help prevent this from happening. They can also catch bits of fluff and prevent other small things from falling down into the gaps. Your average pair of jeans has several features that are both functional and somewhat sentimental. The metal rivets around the pockets help secure the stress points. This ensures they last a bit longer than average, though not all jeans have them. Many still have a tiny pocket directly above the main pocket. This was originally meant to hold a pocket watch. Even though pocket watches are mostly a thing of the past, many people still use this space to store coins, rings, or even a portable USB. Now, this may seem a little obvious, but if you've ever wondered what all the notches are in a car tire, It's for traction on the road. However, there are also a good indicator if your tire is getting too worn down. If those notches aren't so deep anymore and are almost flush with the road, it's time to replace them. If you don't, the next time you try to stop suddenly at a stop sign, you might be surprised to find your car has turned into a giant roller skate. Those takeaway containers most associated with Chinese restaurants are designed to not only carry your food home, but to store them in the fridge. They double as a plate, as you can eat straight out of them and don't have to worry about dirty dishes. Yay! They were actually patented way back in 1894 to transport freshly shucked oysters and were known as oyster pails. They were later adapted to use as leak-proof containers for food. While you're sitting on an airplane and looking out the window, you may have noticed those little holes, or in some instances, a small singular opening near the bottom. This is called a breather hole, and no, it's not for you. It's designed to equalize the difference in air pressure which builds up between the pressurized cabin and the atmosphere outside, especially during high altitudes. It also releases moisture from between the panes to avoid frost from forming on the windows and obstructing that all-important view. Sorry, but it looks like you won't be drawing a smiley face on it anytime soon. This was first introduced way back in 1956 by a company in Japan. Pretty cool, huh? They got their inspiration from snap-off rows on chocolate bars. Just don't get the two mixed up. One doesn't taste good. When it comes to measuring tape, almost every reel has an empty slot in the metallic end. This is called a nail grab, so you can attach it to a nail or screw. A handy trick to do measurements without requiring someone else to hold it in place. Ooh, very nifty. Bobby pins have grooves on one side to hold your hair in place better. Crazy notion, huh? The straight side goes face up, while the grooves go down against your head. They're called bobby pins because of the bobbed hairstyle, which was popular in the 1920s, though the pins were invented in the 19th century. The look is gone, but the pins remain. Please take them out before you wash your hair, as they don't look great stuck to your fingers. If you've been in a car or a bus and noticed the textured black dots baked into the black edges, you've probably worked out that it's not there for its pretty looks. It's called frit, a ceramic paint. Its main purpose is to protect the window from ultraviolet rays. It also creates a rough surface for the adhesive to cling to. Now, if you see a pink lump of adhesive in the corner, please do not touch it. It's actually someone's old bubble gum. If you take a look at the bottom of the lock, chances are you'll see one or two little holes. This is to let water out from the inside that may have been trapped due to rain. This mini draining capability prevents the inner working from rusting over or freezing in place if the weather's very cold. If, in another situation, the lock becomes stuck, you can ease an oil-based product inside to lubricate the lock and get it working again. If you've lost the key and want to ease your frustrations, you can yell into the holes. It won't do anything to unlock it, but it may help you feel a little better. Some dress shirts have a fabric loop on the back. You guessed it, it's used for hanging the shirt up. The loops were reportedly first used in the Navy, as it was easy to simply hang them on the wall. During the 1960s in colleges, the fashion of the day was to wear the shirt buttoned all the way to the top, which made them difficult to hang. So designers began putting the loop on the back. If the student removed the loop, it signified that they were going steady in a relationship. Unless your friend ripped one off for a prank, now everyone's asking whom you're with. There's a little more to this story, but we haven't got time to hang around. And yes, that's a bad pun. On purpose. It's what I do. Ever wondered why coins have those little ridges along the edge? It's a leftover from earlier times when they were worth more. Counterfeiters could easily file the edges off to sell as gold or silver coins to make some profit. The ridges were created so it was much easier to tell which of the coins had been altered. It's not needed today, but the coins still have that altered style. If you ever get really bored, you could try counting how many ridges there are. Actually, that is a very boring idea. Forget that and watch another Brightside video instead. So consider this. People started making ridge patterns on coins in past centuries to fight counterfeiters. In the old days, cheaters cut off the smooth edges of coins and used that metal to mint new money. But with ridges, it became impossible to hide the cutting. These small cylinders on the charging cables are called chokes or ferrite cores. They're magnetic iron oxide that helps to prevent electromagnetic interference. In simple words, they protect your device from faults. We all know about these little pockets on jeans where people used to keep their pocket watches. But what about these small metal buttons? They help hold the fabric together. Weavers put the buttons where the jeans can tear during moving and straining. These small holes on some backpacks were designed to tie extra gear to them, so you can pass ropes through them and tie sneakers if you don't want to keep them inside your backpack or in your hands. This tiny dot next to the camera on your iPhone is a microphone. It helps to get good quality of sound while taking a video. The Spotlight feature on your Mac can be used not only for a quick search of files and apps, it also works as a calculator. Just type in a mathematical problem you need to solve. Spotlight also uses internal dictionary data. Enter any word in the search bar, and you can get information about it. You've just bought a new bottle of oil. You're taking off the lid and looking at this little cork that you can tear off by pulling the loop. Take this thing out, but don't throw it in the trash. Put it back in an upside-down position to control the pour's flow by pressing your finger against it. Tiny ridges on the F and J keys on the keyboard help your fingers navigate during touch typing. When your index fingers are on these ridges, you know exactly where other letters are. The brushes on the sides of the escalators are not for polishing your shoes, but for your safety. These nylon bristles prevent your laces and clothes from getting inside the escalator's gears. Now, that wouldn't be good. Most door handles are made of brass. This type of metal is good for fighting microbes. Bacteria can't multiply that much on such surfaces. These public toilets' cubicles don't look private for a reason. Huge gaps at the bottom were created to make you want to get out of there as soon as possible. Thanks to this design, there are almost no queues. You can use a plastic lid from soda cups as a coaster. It has the perfect shape to hold your drink and keep a table surface from getting wet. Don't turn the lid upside down. Just put it on the table the same way it was on the cup. If you're stuck in a car during an accident and can't open the doors, you can use bars from the detachable headrest to break the window and get out. Remember those small plastic discs under the bottle lids? This little thing helps preserve vacuum inside bottles, keeping soda in a fizzy state. You've probably watched food heating in a microwave at least once in your life. Exciting, I know! But why do the developers make the door so dark? This black film is necessary to block electromagnetic fields. Tiny dots on padlocks next to the keyhole are designed to dry out the moisture if water gets inside the lock. Also, if the lock gets jammed or starts to rust, you can pour oil into it through this hole to fix the problem. A golf ball is covered with tiny craters for good aerodynamics. They're called dimples, and this design helps the ball fly further and more evenly. Some mugs have a little groove at the outside of the bottom. It helps water flow out and prevents it from accumulating when the cup is in the dishwasher. Sunglasses were first used not to protect your eyes from the sun. They used such glasses during Arctic expeditions. A huge amount of snow can blind you just like a bright flash. To save their eyes, they came up with these unique glasses. You can use any t-shirt not only for dressing, but also as a protective layer for your luggage. Just put your clothes on your suitcase as a cover and don't waste time plastic wrapping it. A button on the back of the shirt collar is there to keep your tie under the collar. Yes, people don't use it as intended because all ties are thinner now, but this button is still there as a decorative function. And here's the initial purpose of a tie. They created it in the 17th century Europe to tighten the collar. This way, people protected their necks from a strong wind. Then, they got used to this part of the outfit and made it a must-have accessory for royal gatherings. Soft pom-poms on hats were first invented several centuries ago. Sailors used them to avoid hitting their heads against low ship ceilings and ledges. They make most clothes hangers from cedar wood, since it contains many natural oils repelling moths that love to eat your clothes. A light bulb is spherical because such a shape allows the light to distribute evenly. Also, such light bulbs are cheaper and easier to produce. Ever found these pieces of fabric in new clothes? They're not just patches, but also testing subjects to use before washing. You can put this piece in the washing machine and see what happens to it. If everything is fine, then you can safely put your clothes in. Your ceiling fan has two modes of work, winter and summer. You need to find the switch on it. Push it up to activate the winter mode and down for the summer one. In summer mode, the fan pushes the air down. It pulls the air up in winter. Most people have this round plunger in the bathroom. In movies, they use those to eliminate a blockage in the toilet. In fact, the plunger is to get rid of a blockage in the sink. For the toilet, you need another special device. The extra space under your oven is not for keeping pans and pots. You can put some dishes there. The heat of the stove will keep your meals warm. It's useful if you're waiting for friends late for dinner. You're taking a pack of popcorn out of a microwave after heating. See the little hole at the top of the popcorn bag? You can use it to get rid of small unpopped grains. Shake the pack over the plate and all the grains will fall out through the hole. Almost all people use a travel pillow incorrectly. Usually, they put two ends forward and lay their heads back. Try to turn the pillow on the other side. The arc should be under your chin and the two ends should be directed back. Lay your head forward and your neck will feel way more comfortable in this position. And you'll get a good nap. They create magnets in a horseshoe shape to increase their magnetic power. The blue part indicates the South Pole, the red part the North one. The two poles work simultaneously and increase the attraction. Thanks to the perfect aviation design, most planes can fly a long distance even without an engine. In 1268, Roger Bacon made the first written mention on using telescope lenses for optical purposes. Magnifying lenses inserted in frames were popular for reading both in Europe and China at this time. So it's still a question if the West took it from the East or vice versa. If you find yourself in the middle of the sea without food, you can try fishing. You can use anything for bait, your phone, watch, keys, and you can use laces as a fishing line. Tie the bait and throw it into the water. And good luck catching the fish that swallowed your phone. It's going to be a whopper. You can turn over the tab on a lid of soda cans and use it to hold a cocktail straw in place. The blue half of the eraser wasn't originally created to delink the ink. Initially, the blue part erased inscriptions and drawings on thick paper. The red part couldn't do it without leaving streaks, but the blue one handled this task perfectly. Most of us tear sticking notes off incorrectly. Try not to do it from below, but from the side along the licking log. The paper will stick to the wall for longer this way. Ever wondered what these two holes in the lollipop stick are for? All the time, you say. Well, when they put the bar in hot syrup, the liquid flows inside. It creates a solid attachment for the plastic. And so it goes.
Most metallic zippers have a hidden lock inside them to save you from awkward situations. Don't leave the zipper handle in an upward position. When you pull it downwards, it automatically locks. It's all thanks to those tiny grooves hidden underneath the handle. Almost any public toilet has a large gap between the floor and the door. The reason for such a zero privacy thing is to actually minimize the level of privacy and comfort so that people don't stay there long and there are no lines. It's also easier to clean and safer if some emergency occurs. Spoiled milk emits gases, like most foods when they go off. A classic plastic milk jug has a concave shape on one side, so when the gases expand inside the jug, it extends too, and the concave shape curves out.
Also, if you want to save some milk for later and freeze it, the jug will expand when the milk gets solid and occupies more space in the jug. A pack of cotton pads has those strings on it so that we can hang it from some hook or holder. And no, there's no need to untighten and tighten the pack again. Look at the bottom of the pack. It has a perforated line. Tear along it, and now you're good to pull out a cotton pad. Bananas tend to go black uncannily quickly. To store them for longer, wrap some cling film around the stem to help the fruit stay fresh for a few more days. French fries go best with some sauce or ketchup, but if it comes in a soft pack, you might have a hard time finding where to pour it. Next time, flip the bendable flap at the bottom of the fries box outward, and you'll have a convenient makeshift plate for the sauce. Some ballpoint pens have a tiny hole on their side, whose function is unclear. In fact, it's a ventilation system. Without it, the ink would just stay where it is and not flow to the tip of the pen. The modern aviator sunglasses were initially made in the 1930s. Before that, pilots wore tinted goggles to protect their eyes from glare and low temperatures, but they weren't actually enough to block the blinding light up in the sky. So, later, a new kind of sunglasses was developed that we now know as aviators. Their lightweight metal frame made them easy to put on and off at will, and the green tint helped cut out the blue light. Besides, the now iconic green lenses only let 15% of light through. Their teardrop shape helped the pilot look down without the risk of being blinded by the glare from below. The seemingly random buttonhole on the lapel of a suit coat once served an actual purpose. Back in the 18th century, men used to wear dresses with high collars that had buttons all the way to the top. They would loosen up a bit on particularly hot days, unbuttoning the collar. The top of the dress's chest would then form two folded-over flaps. This form became a classic that we now know today as suit coats with time. The button is nowhere to be found, but its buttonhole remains in place as a nod to the past. Many outdoor jackets, especially sports ones, have a small pocket on their chest. Its name is the Napoleon pocket, and it's really a reference to the notorious French leader of the early 19th century. In his portraits, he would often be pictured with one of his hands stuck inside his jacket at the chest level. And this pose became very well known thanks to him. The Napoleon pocket is right where he put his hand, but nowadays it's mainly used to keep maps or snacks handy, and a smartphone fits in it perfectly too. The ring on the bottom of a cast iron skillet was first introduced when natural gas wasn't yet a thing, and people mainly used wood stoves to cook. They'd burn wood logs in different compartments and then place pots and pans on top to heat up the food. The ring on the bottom of the skillet allowed it to sit slightly above and out of the flame. But its origins weren't a design feature, it was actually a bug. When you make a pan out of cast iron, it's difficult to achieve perfect flatness on the bottom, and even the slightest unevenness would make the skillet wobble on the stove. That's where the ring comes into play. You can grind it without doing so with the rest of the bottom, thus worsening its quality. And when ground, the ring becomes perfectly flat, removing the wobbling. The command key, meant to help users make do without a mouse on MacBook, dates back to the 1980s. Its original name was the Apple key, but Steve Jobs didn't want to overuse the Apple name. That decision meant there would also need to be an alternative logo. Jobs gave the task of finding a symbol to represent the notion of command to one of the resident bitmap artists of the company. And the shape she came up with, the iconic pretzel design, was inspired by Nordic maps. They used it to mark campgrounds. Candle lighters hide a secret inside them. They're not that unique. In most cases, they have a regular lighter inside, plus a special mechanism to help the spark light the candle. Fruit and vegetable labels have numbers on them that indicate the countries they come from and how they were grown. A 5-digit number starting with an 8 means the fruit or veg was genetically modified. If the number begins with a 9, it was grown organically, and the rest grown in the usual way, usually have 4-digit numbers and start with a 3 or 4. Multicolored circles at the bottom of chip bags tell the manufacturer if everything is printed the right way, and their location tells the cutting machine about the exact place to cut. There's an icon on cosmetic items that looks like an open box with either 12M or 24M written on it. This icon tells you how much the product can last after being opened. The number and letter marking means the number of months, 12 or 24. In London, some poles kinda look like street lamps, but there are no bulbs. Their official name is stink pipes. They're a thing of the past now, but they used to come in handy back in the 19th century. These hollow poles would take the air and explosive gases with bad smell up to prevent unwanted consequences. Automatic lip liners and eye pencils have a sharpener installed in the package. The lid on the back part of the pencil doesn't only reveal the color. You can pull it out and sharpen the product. You can make a makeshift stand for disposable chopsticks. They have a sort of lump at one side before you split the pair. So next time you have a sushi dinner, try breaking off that lump instead of regular splitting. When you want to take a sushi break, just place the stick on this stand. A dollar has its secrets too. A large letter with a rim shows which bank is responsible for issuing this bill. There are 12 banks distributing currency. For example, the L says it was printed in San Francisco. There's only one way you can store your peanut butter correctly. If you place it regularly, it may get a bit solid before long. The trick is to keep it upside down so the oils don't stay on the bottom all the time and distribute evenly. Whatever coffee shops you go to, all the disposable cups look precisely the same, only the logo changes. The secret here is the special shape that lets you enjoy your drink quickly. The top is always broader, allowing it to accommodate your nose while you're drinking. The bottom is always narrower, so anyone can hold it easier, even if the hand is relatively small. This width difference also allows the cups to stack. The cylinder on the end of a cable is sitting there, useless as it might seem. In fact, this is a ferrite bead that assists with many electrical wires to reduce electromagnetic interference. Electrical wires act like unintentional antennas, broadcasting the EMI. There's a reason why the spinning wheel inside their microwave is circular. A circular object will evenly distribute the heat as opposed to a rectangular and square one. When you place containers of these shapes inside, the energy is focused on the corners, rather than spread evenly like in a round container. The temperature gauge on a toaster is commonly used to determine how crisp you like your toast, but the other, more specific use for the gauge was for the different types of bread. White and sweet types of bread heat up much faster as opposed to heavier brown and rye ones. The older bread is, the more time it will need in a toaster to ensure the golden brown result you're looking for. Most ovens give you the option of leaving the door ajar when broiling a dish inside. You probably think the goal here is to help cool down the oven after use. In reality, its purpose is to focus on cooking the top of the dish and to ensure a crusty layer. Controlling the buildup of heat and steam by releasing it through the slightly ajar door gives you the desired result without cooking the entire dish to a crispy end. You probably have noticed that your dishwasher has specific areas for different types of cutleries and dishware. But all the dishware pieces should be facing towards the center and not all in one direction. What types of foods were on the plates will also determine where they should be located in the racks. As the middle of the machine gets the strongest spray, carb-based stains from tomatoes and potatoes should be placed there. The detergent is more focused on the outside during the clean, creating a waterfall-like cleanse. That's why protein-based stains, like from eggs for example, should be stacked there. Ceiling fans push cool air down on a hot day, circulating the room. But they can serve you during the winter just as effectively if you flick that switch on the side or use the pulley. So if you want to save some money on heating and try to quickly warm up your room on a cold day, turn the fan on. It will push the air up and spread the warm air around, more effectively warming the room up. Do you still use sticky notes instead of those fancy new apps on all possible gadgets? Welcome to the club. Regardless of what you use them for, they can annoyingly curl up. If you've had this issue, it's because you've peeled them from the bottom upwards. Doing it this way causes the curling. Peeling them from the side will ensure they remain flat, ready to remind you of your daily tasks. Did you know that can openers weren't invented until 50 years after preservation cans had been readily available? So how would it be possible to open a can? There are a couple of alternative methods just in case you've misplaced your trusty opener. All you need is a metal spoon. Set the can down on the counter, hold onto it firmly, and grasp the head of the spoon tightly. Apply pressure and vigorously rub the edge of the can's top over a small area. It takes time, but as you continuously rub, a small indentation soon opens a hole. Once the hole is wide enough for the spoon's tip, pry the lid upwards and keep going along the edges until you can finally access the hard-earned meal within. Most toilets rely on water pressure and gravity to function, so a power outage will not affect them. But if yours does need electricity to function, you must be worried about using it when the power is out. The good news is the power is only used to fill the toilet and not to flush it. As the flushing mechanism will still work, open the toilet tank and pour in a couple of gallons, and you're free to flush away whatever you need to. Blockages in shower drains occur over a long period of time. It's inevitable. We lose 50 to 100 hairs a day, and many of them will endeavor to reside within our shower drains. Hair only forms the foundations of the blockage, and this attracts the buildup of various other things. A great life hack is to use your vacuum cleaner and put the nozzle in the hole once removing the plug. Apply a wet cloth around the nozzle, ensuring air cannot escape. The vacuum will suck up the blockages a lot easier. This will help avoid any extra cost from plumbers, as they themselves use this technique. To make your candles last longer, trim their wicks multiple times and keep them as far away from water and moist as possible. It will guarantee that your candle's wax stays firm and steady and continues to burn slower for a longer period of time. The empty space between the panes of the oven door is there for a reason. You can stick a brush in there to clean the oven door glass. It's easy to access this space through the bottom of the door, open the lower shelf, then push the brush through the hole. While you're parking in a garage, you might find it difficult to determine how close to it you need to be. Not all cars have sensors ensuring you keep the right distance before the bumper makes an indentation on the wall. Applying a rope with a tennis ball from the ceiling at the right distance will help you learn the best distance to park from the wall. We've all been told to loosen a lock with WD-40 or lubricant. Yes, we all know we should have these around the house. But in case you don't, a great alternative is drawing with a gray lead pencil along the edges of the key and then putting it into the lock. Continue doing this until the keyhole has been adequately lubricated and the key functions smoothly. Pliers are prone to damage when you use them to adjust faucets and shower heads, and are also difficult to grip. Take a couple of pieces from the end of an old garden hose and attach them to the jaws of the pliers. You'll find a huge improvement with grip and will avoid wear and tear. You can find a good use for discarded rubber for different things around the house. When fed up with tightening or loosening with a screwdriver, try using a simple rubber band. Place part of it into the screw grip and the screwdriver will have far greater traction. Moving cement blocks isn't safe for your lower back. Even with a wheelbarrow, it can be a risky process to place the cement onto the ground without causing damage. 3 simple cylinder pipes can make a world of difference, regardless of the size of the block. Try lifting the edge onto the first pipe with a pry bar, then pushing and maneuvering as you gradually direct the 3 pipes towards the desired location. Just make sure you're not doing this on a slope. That first strike on a nail can be a great success or will result in a throbbing thumb. A bobby pin is perfectly shaped to hold a nail in place, allowing for your hand to be clear out of harm's way and for you to strike the nail without fear. Use a crayon instead of a pen or pencil while working with a wet saw to ensure the markings are not removed. They will also be easier to see under the murky water. Checking the drains on the roof and determining when they need to be cleaned can take a lot of time. Using duct tape, attach a mirror on the end of a long broom and review whether the drains need to be cleaned. To further assist with your balance as you check on the gutters, attach a pair of old trainers to the end of the ladder. The spread of the shoe and its grip will ensure a further level of safety. Liquid caulk normally comes in huge tubes, so you can never use it all at once. The hardened tips of liquid caulk create blockages. Grab a used cork and drill through it to make a perfect lid, concealing the liquid caulk. Now it's ready to be used again with no blockages.
Now, the earliest logos can be traced back to ancient family crests. In the Middle Ages, people with pubs and shops started using various symbols to present what they did and to distinguish themselves from others in their line of business. But why is it so important for a brand to have an impactful logo? Well, because first impressions count, even for businesses. A well-crafted logo can send the right message to potential customers and help people learn more about your business at first glance. With so many logos to look at nowadays, especially since the beginning of e-commerce, it's easy to overlook the hidden meanings and symbols in everyday products. The Domino's Pizza logo also says a lot about the company's past. As the name suggests, there's a domino piece in the graphic design of the logo. The initial plan was to add another dot to the domino for each new location. But the company grew so big that adding dots for all the locations wasn't possible. So those 3 dots we see today are there to remind customers of the 3 initial locations of the pizza chain. Now, when you look at the Beats logo, the first thing that comes to mind is the letter B, and rightly so. But there's a hidden meaning here as well. The red circle actually depicts a person's head, while the white letter B also stands for a pair of headphones. Another very customer-oriented logo is that of the brand LG. The company designed its logo to include both the company's initial name, Lucky Gold Star, and the company's current slogan, Life's Good. A careful look at their logo shows not only the letters L and G, but also a smiley face. They may be one of the most famous jean manufacturers in the world, but their brand identity also has some hidden meaning in it. The Levi's logo is designed in the shape of a pocket that can be found on each and every pair of the jeans they produce. The FedEx logo is also very cool. At first glance, it looks like the words Fed and X written together in 2 contrasting colors, purple and orange. But if you look closely between the letters E and X, you'll notice that the negative space is in the shape of an arrow pointing to the right. It symbolizes movement and agility. The Unilever Group has a staggering number of brands all over the world, more than 400. It's no surprise that their U-shaped logo is composed of many different symbols, like a flower, a spoon, or a bird. It's done to showcase how many things they produce, from food and refreshments to personal care and beauty products. NBC, or the National Broadcasting Company, is a broadcast and radio network with a logo that's very nice to look at. It's bright, colorful, and flashy. Why is that? Well, because the network was created at about the same time color television started to gain momentum. The bird-shaped NBC logo symbolizes the initial 6 divisions of the network, and the colors are also a nice reminder to customers that NBC is proud as a peacock of their programs. The Evernote logo is another of those designs that clearly shows the brand's overall purpose. While the font used is relatively simple, on the left of the word Evernote, there's a depiction of an elephant. The animal is a well-known symbol of good memory, and the shape of its ear is curled like a Post-it note. A cool touch for an app designed for organization and note-taking, wouldn't you say so? Now, the Cisco logo comes with its own little secret as well. The font is quite minimalistic, but the lines above are there to depict the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. The first CEO of the company, a man named John Morgridge, thought this would be a great idea to emphasize moving toward the future and connecting 2 worlds. The Amazon logo is everywhere these days. But there's a small detail in there that most people probably miss. The arrow connecting the letters A and Z, the one in the shape of a smile, is there to point out that they have a complete inventory of products, from A to Z. Audi is one of those brands that likes to showcase their history. Those 4 simple intertwining circles on the company's logo are a reminder of the 4 companies which were initially part of the conglomerate: DKW, Porsche, Wanderer, and Audi. There's a nice story behind the Baskin-Robbins logo as well. Between the letters B and R in the middle of the logo, you can notice the number 31. Why is that? Because the company has 31 original flavors of ice cream. I think I've darn near tried them all. A lot of companies out there like to give their logos a bit of a vintage touch, and Picasa is one of them. Before we had digital cameras and the perfect portrait was just a click away, analog cameras had a little thing called a shutter. That's a device that opens to let light pass through, exposing the film and creating a photograph. The Picasso logo is just that, a shutter nicely colored in red, blue, green, purple, and orange. The 7-Eleven logo has a nice twist that might not have caught your eye by now. The N at the end of the word is in lowercase, unlike the rest of the letters, which are in all caps. It's said that the company's president's wife, back in the 60s, wanted to make the company's logo look a bit less harsh. She believed that the uppercase font would be a bit too rigid, and she wanted to make the overall appearance of the logo more fluid. A graphic designer found a solution by switching to a lowercase n at the end of the word. So I'm guessing that when you pronounce it, you just throw away the lowercase n, like 7-Eleven. Or not. Chocolate fans must know the Toblerone brand. If you're one of them, have you ever noticed all the intricate detailing in its logo? The city of Bern, in Switzerland, where the company was founded, is also named the City of Bears. When you visit this place, you'll see that there are bears everywhere, from the city's coat of arms to public trash cans. The Toblerone chocolate is shaped like a mountain, hence the mountain in the logo. But there's also a bear depicted there, hidden in the negative space. The Chick-fil-A logo is one of those that goes straight to the point with their imagery. The C stands for chicken, of course, but it's also shaped like a chicken if you look closely. Another great example of negative space used creatively is the Formula One logo. Between the F, which stands for the word formula, and the horizontal lines depicting red flames, the number 1 is intelligently hidden. Bet you didn't see that one. One of the greatest sportswear brands, Adidas, has a mystery of its own. At first glance, its logo is merely comprised of 3 vertical lines. Don't they look like a mountain to you? This mountain is there to symbolize the effort athletes have to make to reach the top, which is like, climbing a mountain. The IBM logo has its own statement to make. The 3 letters of the company's name, I, B, and M, are designed to be the horizontal lines meant to symbolize speed and dynamism. This is one of the company's main values, which has always been important to the founders. With a cool logo to present to the world, Ray-Ban has become a household name for sunglasses. Just to make sure you don't miss what they actually do, the B in the logo is designed like a pair of shades. The worldwide internet source of information, Wikipedia, has a logo to match its brand identity. The globe is made of many puzzle pieces, each with a different symbol on it, and some missing pieces as well. It tells the story of the company's mission without a single word. That's a nice lesson in storytelling, don't you think? Subway is one of those brands that have a nice combination of the logo and name, meant to symbolize that you can have a delicious meal anytime. The pointing arrows on the letter S and Y look like the directions found at subway stations. Now, there's no way you can miss the 2 pieces of chocolate in the Hershey Kisses logo, but there's a third one hidden in there if you look closely. Have you seen it yet? It's hidden between the letters K and I. If you've ever redecorated a house or planned a wedding, you most likely use Pinterest to store and share ideas. The Pinterest logo looks like the letter P in a red circle. But look again. This P is shaped like a drawing pen. To the untrained eye, the logo of the London Symphony Orchestra looks like an eccentric red curved line. But in reality, it has a purpose of its own as it symbolizes a musical conductor. Another brand with hidden imagery in its logo is Magic Coffee. The cup of coffee on the top of the name is shaped like a top hat if you take a closer look. Okay, I'm ready for some food now.
Crackers have holes in them to stop them cracking and breaking during baking. If the holes weren't there, steam would build up inside the cracker and make it collapse. Take a look at a soda bottle and you'll notice a disc inside the bottle cap. This helps seal in the liquid and the drink's fizz, stopping it from going flat. The long neck on your soda bottle is designed like that to encourage you to hold it there. That way, the heat from your hand will only warm that top bit of the bottle instead of heating up your whole drink. It's always hard to see your food in the microwave because of that pesky black grate on the window, but it's there to stop harmful microwaves from escaping. Called the Faraday shield, it protects you as well as ensures that your food cooks properly. Food items like chips come with about 43% nitrogen inside their package. It might seem like they sell you half a bag of air, but it's exactly the opposite. Oxygen, the gas we breathe, would react with the chips inside the bag and make them go rancid quickly. It's called oxidizing for a reason. Nitrogen, on the other hand, is an inert gas that helps keep the foodstuffs fresh and also protects them from breaking during transportation. A bag of chips that has this gas cushion lets you enjoy your crunchies without them turning to potato crumbs. Donuts have holes in them so that the inside and outside cook evenly. Before the holes were added, the inside would often be greasy and doughy while the outside was crisp. Margins on paper aren't for writing in dates and numbering lists. They were originally added to serve a protective function. Back in the day, rats used to be a pesky problem in people's homes, and paper was one of their favorite snacks. Margins were added as a safeguard so that the rats would nibble on blank paper, rather than taking a bite out of your important work. That hole in your hollow lollipop stick isn't to prevent choking should it ever be swallowed. It's actually there to keep the candy in place. Excess candy flows into the hollow tube, and the hole, which when it hardens, keeps the pop in place. If it was a smooth stick, the candy would slide off easily. Vacuums come with so many attachments, but do any of us really know what that one with long bristles is for? It's for dusting and is perfect for cleaning framed art, blinds, and lampshades. What's the difference between a wooden hanger and a plastic one? Aside from helping keep your clothes in shape, cedar wood hangers also repel moths and bugs. Salt isn't just used for cooking. It can get rid of tough smells. Rubbing salt on your fingertips after chopping garlic should remove the smell. It also works on shoes. Toasters have a secret slide in the bottom that can be removed, so you can clean out all those annoying breadcrumbs. If you ever had problems with popping chocolates from the box, look at those little holes around them. They're there to help you. If you push a hole right next to the candy, it'll jump out easily. When you take a sip from a coffee cup with a lid, it decreases air pressure inside the cup, so air tries to get in. The tiny hole on the lid allows air to enter that way, so liquid can smoothly pour out the main hole. More on beverage lids. The small button on them let restaurant workers, and customers too, understand what's in a cup. Near each button, there's a name. Just look at which one is pushed down. The numbers on the fruit stickers tell you how exactly they were grown. If there are 4 digits and the first is 4 or 3, the fruit has been sprayed with pesticides. If there are 5 digits and the first is 9, the fruit has been grown organically. If there are 5 digits and the first is 8, the fruit has been genetically modified. When you're on your way back to the car after bagging up everything you bought, use loops on a shopping cart to hang the bags. Now, softer items like bread, eggs, fruit, and veggies won't get squashed by the heavier goods. If you don't have anyone to hold the other end of your tape measure when you try to measure something, tap a nail on it. Now, simply hook your tape on it using the tiny hole all tape measures have. The square-shaped spoon that goes with a McFlurry helps to mix the ice cream toppings through the dessert. The spoon hooks directly to a machine and spins around. Padlocks that are used outside quickly get out of order because of rain. See this little hole in the bottom? It's made for pouring engine oil inside. Do this and the key will again turn in the lock without any difficulty. You keep banging the bottom of a glass ketchup jar, but nothing's coming out. Here's a little tip. Turn your ketchup bottle at an angle and tap on the middle of the neck. In many fast food restaurants, customers fill tiny folded paper cups to get a portion of ketchup or mustard. Here's the news. The cups are supposed to unfold and turn into small paper platters to hold a great deal more sauce. That little hole on the handle of a pot or a frying pan isn't just for hanging them on the wall. During cooking, put the end of your utensil in the hole, and it'll be propped over the pot to save your kitchen from extra mess. The blue or any other dark color bristles on your toothbrush are meant to remind you when it's time to get a new one. If you see that bristles have become pale, change the toothbrush or its head. An extra hole at the upper part of the sink has multiple hidden functions. First, in case someone forgets to close the tap, the water won't overflow and the bathroom won't get flooded. Second, thanks to that hole, the water drains faster as it gives an escape for the air, helping the water flow down. Most metallic zippers have a hidden lock inside them to save you from awkward situations, such as an undone fly. Don't leave the zipper handle in an upward position. When you pull it downwards, it automatically locks. It's all thanks to those tiny grooves hidden underneath the handle. Spoiled milk emits gases, like most foods when they go off. A classic plastic milk jug has a concave shape on one side, so when the gases expand inside the jug, it expands too, and the concave shape curves out. Also, if you want to save some milk for later and freeze it, the jug will expand when the milk gets solid as well, occupying more space in a jug. Bath foam isn't only for fun or a nice smell. It also helps regulate the temperature. The bubbles keep the water hot, so you can enjoy a bath a bit longer. Anyway, it works for acrylic bathtubs only. Those made of metal lose heat really fast either way. Many cups and mugs have little grooves on the bottom on purpose. They're designed for washing machines. The grooves let the water flow and not spill over your feet when you take the cup out. Also, those grooves let the air flow so the cup doesn't crack even if the tea is scalding. A point on an ointment cap is there for a reason too. Most tubes are usually sealed with foil, and it's better to avoid opening it with fingers unless you're ready to say goodbye to your nails. A point easily opens even the most safely sealed tube. Escalator brushes aren't for keeping your shoes clean and polished. It might be tough to apply wax right on that brush while the escalator's on the move. It's for your safety. Brushes won't let you come close to the edge, so a long coat or bootcut jeans won't end up in between the steps. All Tic Tac containers are designed to dispense one Tic Tac every time you open it. The lid has the same shape as the candy. Turn the container upside down, gently shake it, and slowly open it. You'll notice only one candy stuck between those lid grooves. So if you just open the container and shake it until 5 or even more candies fall into your mouth, it means you've been eating Tic Tacs wrong all this time. The pom-pom on top of your beanie wasn't put there as a fashion accessory. The pom-pom was originally added to the hat to prevent sailors from banging their heads on the ceilings of the ships that were too low.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more,